Let's go over to the Senate to talk to Rappler's Ayi Macaraig. She's been covering the trial this whole time. Ayi, what do you think of today's developments?
Well, Maria, basically today was a very exciting day for the defense compared yesterday when we saw Congressman Tiangco testified. Today we got to the meat of the articles of the impeachment as the defense started to present witnesses for Article 2. Now, two major issues were discussed in this afternoon's trial. First is the allowances of the Chief Justice. So true to form, true to the statements that the Chief Justice gave in his media blitz last week, today we had the Supreme Court employee Araceli Bayuga who presented the basic salary and the allowances of the Chief Justice. And we learned that from 2002 to 2011, Corona actually had total salary and allowances of 21 million pesos. So we see that this is much bigger than his basic salary for the same period of just 5 million pesos. So indeed, what Corona said, that if you just look at the basic salary, it's much smaller. You have to consider the allowances of the Chief Justice. So the other main issue for the day was the Marikina property, the lot of the Corona couple. Now, we had the defense witness, Demetrio Vicente, explaining that all along it was actually his as he bought the property in 1990. But what we saw in the trial is that even the senators, at least at the level of the senators, there was still some confusion and uncertainty. They did not totally buy, as of now, the testimony of Vicente because of the questions raised by the prosecution in cross-examination, specifically the notarization, when they pointed out that the notary public was not actually authorized to do that job in Makati, and also about the registration of that property. How come it has not yet been registered under the name of Vicente? Maria?
Ayi, those are pretty significant. This is probably the first time that that a Supreme Court justice, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, that his allowances have come out. So that actually sets some precedents. He gets, correct me if I'm wrong, the figures you named, nearly 4 times more than his base pay. Is that right?
Yes, that's right, ma'am.
And is this the first time that we've heard this?
Well, for this trial, definitely. We saw the prosecution actually attempt to have access to the salary, the allowances of the Chief Justice in the past when it was their turn to present, but that wasn't denied. They only got as far as the alpha list of the Chief Justice presented by BIR Commissioner Kim Henares. But with the testimony of the Supreme Court employee, that was actually now out in the open. So in that way, the defense was able to score some points, so to speak, as at least on the surface, they were able to explain where the Chief Justice could have possibly gotten the money to have bought these properties, several condominiums. But again, we will still have to see in the coming days how they will relate that to what the Chief Justice actually declared in his SALN. Let's not forget that the main issue for Article 2 is the SALN, and the prosecution has been saying that no matter what wealth Corona has, no matter what allowances or basic salary he receives, the issue is whether or not those were accurately declared in his SALN.
Correct.
Maria?
So what do you expect now? The second part of the second revelation today had to do with the actual Marikina properties. What does that mean, and what do we expect in the coming days?
For the Marikina property, that was an effort of the defense to explain why it was not declared in the latter silence of the Chief Justice when he was already a member of the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice, because if we remember, it was only declared as a donation in the 1992 SALN. So the argument of the defense goes that why would Corona declare a property that in the first place is not his? But as we saw Senator Ralph Recto raising the question, if it was not his, why was it declared in 1992, 2 years after the sale was made, or if it was still under his name because Vicente did not yet register it as his own property, why was it therefore not declared in the succeeding years or even prior to that. So still a lot of questions on the Marikina property, and we will also see how it was relevant, that finding that it wasn't properly notarized. What does that mean then for the deed of sale? Like some people were saying that it might mean it's a fake document, but of course we don't know yet at this point. What's very clear is that at least as far as the Marikina property is concerned, there are still many questions. The defense will still have to argue and to present evidence to show that that property really did not belong to the Chief Justice. So in the coming days, tomorrow, we expect Bayuga to return to the witness stand for the cross-examination, because as we saw, the prosecution was surprised. They did not know the figures that she mentioned, the documents that she presented. They said this was the first time they saw that. So it's actually crucial how they handle the cross-examination rather tomorrow, because again, the main issue here is how you relate it to the SALN. So if the figures match, the figures in the SALN match with what is in the alpha list of the Chief Justice, what is his salary and allowances for those years. So actually the defense is very coy. They don't want to name the witnesses that they will present before the trial began today. We were trying to get the names from them, aside from Congressman Chanco, of course, and they were just saying that, you know, they're not sure if they will be able to present any witness still, because they were focused on the integrity of the complaint. But no, we actually saw that they were ready for Article 2, and they presented not just one but two witnesses, and one actually came from the Supreme Court. So very interesting what other surprises the defense will have for tomorrow. But the lesson, as I guess, as we saw today, is that if the prosecution is prepared for cross-examination, as they seem to have been preparing those documents about that notary public, they could actually possibly match the surprises that the defense will present. Maria?
Fantastic. Ai Macaraig, we'll look forward to hearing more from you tomorrow at the Senate.